So hello again and welcome everyone to day 2 of Navaratri. Today we enter into the realms. We're still in the approach towards her. And one of the critical steps on the approach towards Ma is the grace of her son Ganapati. So we have a beautiful guest with us today who's going to take us into the playful and adorable realms of our beloved Ganapati, Aude Paras. And Aude and I first met while we were both on separate pilgrimage journeys to India. We met at the womb of the mother itself and shared a beautiful experience of Aarti together and have since connected further. And we just recently did an Instagram live together, and there's just so much, shared path and just such, I found Aude to be such an inspiration on the path, her devotion and her dedication and wisdom is really a wellspring. So I hope you all enjoy. Thank you so much for being here with us, Aude. And is there anything you'd like to say to introduce yourself further?
I just want to thank you so much for putting together this summit and just gathering all of us on these 9 very special nights where the energy of the goddess is the most potent, the most palpable. My life is dedicated to she and to humbly offer myself and offer this lifetime in totality to the beauty of this grand mystery. And the more I walk, the more in wonder I discover that I know nothing. And so may this coming together today and this beginning of the inspiration of Navaratri awaken this wonder inside each and every one of us to really release any ideas, identities, beliefs we may have towards ourselves, the mother, or even what Tantra may look like, because these are all ideas. And until we have an experience of it that is embodied, well, nothing is known. So, yeah.
That's right there, a beautiful and powerful nugget of wisdom. Thank you for that, Aude. So I'd love to hear, before we get into experiencing the wisdom you have to share around Ganapati, I would love to just hear a little bit about your journey. I know you've been on this path for quite some time now, and I think it's just so interesting how each one of us arrived here in her lap, and to hear the kind of the similarities in so many journeys, the seeking heart and whatnot, but also the unique twists and turns that each of our path took, because that's part of Ma's beauty and grace. So I'd just love to hear some of the nuggets of how you ended up here today.
Yeah. Wild and mysterious path that she's been guiding us for aeons, and in this lifetime, perhaps from the moment of our own conception. And in very practical term, I was a very turmoil child. I just cried and cried and cried, and I was in terror. And I didn't know how to get out of it. And my parents tried their best with what they knew. My mom took me to my first meditation. It was 11, introduced me to, a German teacher when I was 13 told me, I will not take you in my class if you don't start yoga or Tai Chi. And I was like, Tai Chi, that's way too slow. Let me just try yoga. And I tried yoga, and it was Ashtanga yoga. And I remember getting out of my first class and having a feeling of walking on clouds. And it's a feeling that was completely unknown to me. Peace, openness, surrender, if we can use that word at that time, just perhaps just not being wailing in tears. And slowly, yoga became my saving grace. It became my secret garden. And unbeknownst to me, it was the goddess preparing my body physically to purify the emotions and the physical body to get ready to receive her. Later on, I met a woman that was a mystic that was mixing Taoism, the mystical path of Chinese medicine, and yoga together. And the sign of that teaching of that yoga school was the Sri Yantra, which is one of the sign of the goddess. And I only put the pieces together later. And so I was like, oh, it was her guiding me there. And that led me to study with Taoist masters in Thailand. And I knew for me there was something around sexual energy. I didn't know what it meant. I didn't know what sexual energy was. It wasn't refined, but there was a piece around there. And so the beginning of my search in my early 20s was really around how to understand how this energy, which was the erotic energy, which we call Shringara Rasa, that we find in Odissi dance, that we find in certain deities in Tantra, which is the mood of love. And I was looking for that mood of love, but the one place that essence in an, I would say, maybe unrefined way was presence, was in sexuality. So my first beginning of my path was trying to figure out what is that energy and how can I work with it and how can I allow it to move in me. So I went to study with Taoist masters, and that led me to a shamanic teaching around sexuality that brought me to Mexico. And then I entered a traditional shamanic lineage of the moon dance, but the goddess is the moon. And so it was the goddess again that brought me there. And I went to study with a great master, and at his feet, his name is Carlos de Leon, who's mastered many of different paths, some of which Tantra, and both Tibetan Tantra and Vedic Tantra. And the workshop was called The Blood of the Goddess. And everything that he was sharing was everything that I had gathered. So a lot of the thing that I had gathered for the last 5 years of seeking. And I was like, wow, okay, that's it. And there I met a woman, and I shared with her the practices that I was doing at the time. And in exchange, she offered me a gift, an image. And that was the image of what was to become my guru, Uma Parvati Nat Saraswati Ma. And that was really the beginning. And 2 weeks later, I got to meet Uma in person and entered into an advanced group of Tantra. Was not allowed to be there. I was told I was not allowed to be there. And until literally 20 minutes before the class, where I received the message saying Tara, which is one of the Mahavidyas, is saying that you can come. And what, like a goddess saying that I can attend? What is that? And I walked into this very in-depth teaching of Tantra, and Tara from the Mahavidya is she who cuts everything that's between the world of samsara, the world of the everyday life that is separating us from the divine. She has a pair of scissors and she just cuts, 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 and I lost everything. But I gained everything. And I lost my boyfriend, I lost my house, I lost the country I was living in. Everything went to dissolvement, and that was 7 years ago. And since, it's been a step-by-step humbling path of a lot of loss, but enormous gain. And the loss were loss of identities of who I thought I was, who I was to be because of society, because of my background, because of all the pretenses. And for me, that's really what Tantra is. Tantra is not really about gaining anything, but losing everything that we've accumulated to retrieve our essence. And our essence is Devi, our essence is that. And Navaratri is really an experience where we can give ourselves a little window, a glimpse into how much am I willing to sacrifice, knowing that I'm held within hundreds of thousands of people practicing with her every night. And this is something like each and every one of you that are here, there are hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people worshiping the goddess at the same time as you. And in this time, we don't even need to practice. Well, it's really good to practice, but just speaking of her brings boons. So even if you don't enter practice, just you being here gives that energy of support, of being held in her arms. So, and yeah, and it's been 7 years, and slowly, it's become my life entirely, but not so slowly. It was kind of immediate. And here I am.
Oh, thank you so much for all of that, Aude. And I love that note you ended us on, which, just one of the inspirations I had for birthing this Navaratri summit is, first off, for years I've held like a free Navaratri offering because I just love that coming together and exactly that energy you're talking about, where it's just like, thousands of people, if not millions, because there's like 1.6 billion people in India, so potentially over a billion people, all just in fervent devotion. Like, it makes me want to cry this time of year for the mother. And what I've really been feeling over the past handful of years is not just the boon and the blessing of the mother, but the boon and the blessing of this web of, I know this is a lofty term, but I'm going to use it because it kind of works with what I'm trying to say. But the yoga, what I call the yogini circle, like all these fellow practitioners like yourself that I've met along the way in mysterious, magical, running into you at Kamakya Temple, running into one of my Sangha mates in the airport of Varanasi spontaneously, leading my India pilgrimage groups with my beautiful colleague and sister who's also on the path, my own teacher, my own students, and just this web of beings that are being called to her at this time, and that she is this uniting force that brings us together. And the support doesn't just, it's like, yes, she's the support, but the support that also comes through this concept of Sangha, this concept of shared devotion towards her. So to just bring that in, that feeling that, wow, we're all here together because of her and how she's brought us together and who she's brought together. It's just it's a blessing beyond the beyond. So with that said, as we continue to get closer to her, we will segue into our beloved Ganapati. Ganapati, for those of you who might not be as familiar, is another name for Ganesha. And Aude is going to share about Ganapati with us. So what do we need to know about Ganapati and how he assists us in our approach to his mother?
Yeah. You see, just thinking about him and what's happening. Sweetness, a lot of sweetness, a lot of playfulness. And as we talk about Ganapati, be careful of the sweets you have around your house because you might want to eat them all. Be careful of reciting his mantra when you're in a grocery store because you might end up with all of these candies that you never thought you wanted, but he wants them. And Ganapati means the Lord of multitude. And he's really, we're approaching him as the Lord of the people in many ways. He is in all of the houses in India as the entrance. He is the doorway to Shakti. So a lot of you that may be here might be fascinated. Oh, what is Shakti? What is Shakti? I want to get to Shakti. I've heard that word. It came in a dream. And who is she? And before Shakti, there's a doorway. And before entering homes or temples, there's a doorway. And that doorway is Ganapati. It is Ganesh. Ganesh is the elephant headed Lord. And a lot of you may have seen him kind of everywhere. Even in my gym, there's a Ganesha. And I'm like, whoa, okay. And like, he's just overlooking the gym. And you're like, oh, he's behind the cars. He's kind of everywhere. And that's one of the signs of like, okay, it's immersing itself into life. Because Ganesh and all of these gods and goddesses are not archetypes. They are fields of consciousness. It's very different. An archetype is something outside of us. A field of consciousness is something that we are and that is in resonance with the universe around us, and we can invoke them. We have to remember that Tantra And these systems were built before we had astrophysical understanding in the modern way, but they're all representing astrophysical forces. And they just had to anthropomorphize them for us to have a little bit more clear relationship with it. Ganesh is gravity. Feel that in your body. What is gravity? What do I need to meet Shakti? What do I need to meet the goddess and not lose my mind? A lot of people talk about Kundalini rising and what happens if something rises and it is not grounded? Our circuitry burns. And so we approach Ganesh. Ganesh gives us stability, gravity. A lot of you think about him as, oh, the remover of obstacles. I will call him for the remover of obstacles, but he's so much more than that. But I'll just give you the mythology of it, because the mythology already explains a lot. So there's two mythology about Ganesh that are very well known, but I'll give a main one. How he got his elephant head. What happened? So it is said that Shiva and Parvati, Shiva and Shakti. Shiva is the masculine principle, Shakti is the feminine principle. The feminine principle has multiple faces, but one of her faces is as Parvati, the daughter of the mountain. And Shiva and Parvati are married. And they have a beautiful life, but Shiva, being the Lord of the universe, goes out on battles very often to slay demons and sustain the universe. Well, more dissolute the universe, so Vishnu can sustain the universe. But he's out in battle. And time in those times doesn't function like our time. So our time are eternal. And Parvati is at home. And she's getting a little bored. Because she's like, really? I got married with you? And that's what you do? You go out and you're not here taking care of me? What can I do? What can I do? It would be great if I had a child. At least I would be occupying my time and I could pour my love somewhere. Because she just won't want to occupy her time. She wants to pour her love. That's what Shakti wants to do. She wants to have a vessel for her love to be received. But Shiva's not there. She's like, oh, but I'm the mother goddess. So I don't need a man to have a child. Let me make my own. And so she takes these magical elements and just starts to create a potion and forms out of clay and put a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Poof! A beautiful baby boy is born. And that's Ganesh. And he's a perfect looking boy with a human face so sweet. And Parvati and Ganesh spend all of their time together. Every waking second, Parvati and Ganesh are together so close. Mother and child in love, playing, picking apples from the trees and dancing. But the one time when Parvati and Ganesh are not together is Parvati tells Ganesh, my dear son, when I take my bath, you will guard my door and I will be laying in my bath. That is the one time where they're separate. So Shakti Parvati can leisurely take her bath and her little son is waiting because she said, you have to guard me in case there's demons that coming. You need to be the one guarding me. And so Ganesh takes his role really seriously. And so days pass and he's not an infant anymore, but he keeps on guarding the door. And one day, Shiva decides to come back. And obviously, he is the Lord of all lords, so he doesn't arrive straight away. He sends a messenger before. So he says to his messenger, okay, go tell my wife I'll be back home soon. And so the messenger arrives. But Parvati is in her bath at that moment. And Ganesh is like, oh, that's one of the demons Mom talked about. Oh, I can finally go and protect her. And he goes out, and he's still the son of Parvati, right? So he has power. And so he just slays the messenger. And Shiva, being Shiva, even if he's aeons away, he knows what happened. And he's like, who is between me and my beloved? And he rushes away to go and see Parvati and to see who is like between her and him. And Ganesh, not knowing his father, right, because he was an immaculate conception out of the own imagination and creation of Parvati, sees Shiva, doesn't recognize him, and obviously Shiva doesn't know his son, and he's like, who is that? And just Shiva being Shiva, just slays the head away and kills Ganesh. Parvati, out of the bath, comes out furious. I always have this image like, ah, darling, you have been gone for aeons, and the first thing you do is kill my child. I will not speak to you until you bring him back to life. And Lord Shiva, being Lord Shiva and having all the powers, he's like, really? You're going to be ungrateful like that? No, I'm joking. Shiva would never say that. But he goes out, and the first thing he sees is an elephant, cuts the head of the elephant, puts it on the head of the child. And here we have the beautiful family reunited together. We have Shiva, Parvati, and Ganesh as the beautiful trinity coming alive. So it's a mythical story. What does this story evoke in you? This is the beauty of myth. It's what does it evoke inside of us? What does it mean that Ganesh is always with his mother, but the one time he's not there is when he is guarding her, when she is naked in her bath? Ganesh is the doorway to Shakti. Ganesh is the one that we have to pass and ask permission and meet and encounter before having access to the realm of the goddess. And this is what Ganesh can offer. I'll let you muse on what that mythology evokes in you, because that's the beauty of myth and storytelling. It will awaken something different in each and every one of us. And Ganesh represents a lot of things. So the removal of obstacles, that's the first thing. Because, he was protecting Shakti from the demons. So he removes obstacles. What are these obstacles? The obstacles of our own mind, the obstacles that are not allowing us to practice. All the obstacles we have between us and Shakti. Oh, I should do this practice. Oh, but I'm lazy. Oh, but I don't have enough time. Oh, but there's so much thing to do. Well, Ganesh sweetly, very sweetly is going to say, oh, my child, come. Ganesh is gravity. He's going to give you literally the capacity to sit for these next 9 nights or 8 nights now. He's going to give you that gravity to have the possibility to be here and meet her. Ganesh is proper timing. He gives you the right timing to meet her. So that's why we have to ask him first, because if you meet Shakti at a time that is not right, well, it's always right because it's always her, but there is moments that are more auspicious. So you ask for permission. Ganesh is the asking of permission. Ask permission and you shall receive. So removal of obstacles, proper timing, coherency. It brings the coherency needed, and that's the coherency of our mind. Ganesh is actually stabilizing our mind, because our mind is our greatest demon. And you will see in the Devi Mahatmya, the glories of the goddess, Durga goes and slays all the demons. But they're all the demons of our mind, too much and too little, jealousy, fears, all of it. And Ganesh is going to bring coherency to allow us to be one pointed focus towards our goal. The goal is Shiva, totality. Shakta Tantra brings Shakti, Devi, as a means to the goal, because who else but Devi would attract Shiva, right? This is the view in Shakta Tantra. I could go straight to him, but if I go to her, she might just allow him to open his eyes. because it's the love play, coming back to that relationship of Shringara, of that mood of love. So, removal of obstacle, proper timing, coherency, stability, being stable, having a mind and a heart that is stable in the same direction. And what else? This sense of gravity. I'm going to be here and I'm going to have the opportunity to sit and be with her. Ganesh loves sweets. You see him often eating laddus. You see him in a dancing posture. He's very playful and very joyful. He's going to bring all of this into your life and be like, oh, you want gravity? Here it is. You want me to remove obstacles? I remove this and I'll remove that and I'll bring coherency. And he brings this playfulness because Goddess knows that we are very serious. And maybe that's also one of the limitations to meet the Goddess. We have forgotten our innocence. When Ganesh is a child, it's that innocent play. He's like, oh, this is the play of the goddess you want to play with, but it's very serious play. Because this was all a play for him in that tale. Oh, demons are going to come and attack my mom. Is that a play? But it's very serious play. If you've ever seen children play, it's a play, but they take it very seriously. And so it's all of these aspects that we explore with Ganesh. Ganesh is connected to the earth. It's the earth element. And it is located at Muladhara. Muladhara is the prostate or the cervix for women. That is the doorway of Shakti. Another interesting aspect to witness. Why would that be? And it allows us to be grounded in our body before the awakening of that force. It's the doorway, it's the opening. And in his mantra, we have Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. The gum gives that gravity. It's connected to the bija sound Lam. Lam is the earth element. And so now we're just going to feel him a bit because I can talk a lot about him, but let's just feel him. Oh, and another thing, 4 is his number. So you always say his mantra a minimum of 4 times, and then in multiples of 4s. So 4, 8, 16, and then. I'm going to show you a mudra. A mudra is a hand gesture. And the hand gesture is going to allow you to connect to the earth element. And this is the mudra of Ganesh. So you're going to fold the pinky and the ring finger. So you see like this. And we're going to have 3 fingers. And you're going to take these 3 fingers, little tent, and place them by your hip bones on the earth. And I just want you to close your eyes and first and foremost, simply feel. Feel what you feel with this mudra connected to the earth. As you inhale deep down into the lower belly. And Ganesh has a big belly, so let your belly be loose. Flat belly culture doesn't really allow us to have the freedom necessary into the lower parts of our body to let our organs breathe. So inhale, big belly breath, and exhale, soften the tongue. And feel the connection to earth itself. Feel the sensation of gravity, stability. Inhale, receive the breath. Breathe all the way down into your pubic bone, all the way down into the earth. And exhale and soften the tongue. Soften the tongue and taste what earth tastes like. Gravity, stability, coherency. The mantra of Ganesh is Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. And before anything, I want you to bring awareness to the lower parts of your body, to the level of your cervix or your prostate gland. And if you don't know where it is located, just bring attention to your pubic bone. And I want you to recite a couple of times Gam, G-A-M, with the mudra held on the earth, and bring your awareness at the level of Muladhara, at the level of the cervix or the prostate, or if you don't know where that is, at the base of your spine. Inhale, receive the breath, big belly. Exhale completely. And now you sounded Gum. Letting the reverberation. Gum. Gum. One more time. Gum. Letting the feeling sensation reverberate in the lower parts of your body. And notice how your body feels now. Feel the anchor, the gravity, the grounding. And in this moment, if there is any obstacles that you are aware of, perhaps it's an obsessive thought, perhaps it's something that has happened today, or simply, I can't concentrate. Show me. How can I concentrate? And by recognizing it, you allow it to become an offering. Devi, the goddess Ganesh, will take everything as an offering. And now with that offering placed in front of Ganesh himself, we're going to recite his mantra 4 times, concentrating again at the base of the spine. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Completing the mantra, never stopping a mantra midway. And you can release the mudra, release the hand gesture. Keep your eyes closed, placing your hands on your lap, softening the tongue, and witness. How does my body feel right now? Now that I have invoked the power of gravity, anchoring, stability, to open the doorway to Shakti. We're going to take 3 deep breaths, make a smooth transition. Inhale, receive the breath. Exhale, soften the tongue. Inhale, allow the breath to breathe you. Exhale, let your tongue be completely soft. And one last one, just like that. Inhale, receive the breath. And exhale. Whenever you feel ready, softly, sweetly, gently, open your eyes. Mm. Mm.
Mm.
Mm.
Mm. Thank you so much. Such a beautiful, the listening, the mythology, the philosophy, but then all of that is just context. It just supports the direct experience. And I think it's so wonderful you gave us this direct experience, because there's a lot of speculation about what is Tantra in the online worlds these days, but these things can only be known, these deities can only ultimately be known through that direct experience. And so what a gift. Thank you so much, Aude.
Mm.
So as we close out, I would just like to ask you a few questions, just to tease out a few more nuggets of your beautiful wisdom, especially for those who are with us today. I'd love to ask if you could, I know this is a difficult question really, but what are some of the greatest like boons or insights that have come to you along this path?
Mm. Mm. I think for me, where I think it's not even thinking is a feeling, it's an aliveness. This path has allowed me to find a vessel for the intensity of experience that I was having in life and offer me a way to channel that energy into something that was fully alive. Yeah, the greatest boon is that to give me a pathway and an alley to fully experience life and have it in its entirety in an embodied manner. Tantra rejects nothing.
Mm.
It allows everything. Anything that separation is not Tantra. And so it's a radical path because it requires everything of you, or at least one thing it requires. It requires a deep sacrifice, sacrificing the illusion that we are separate. And so one of the boons is that slowly, slowly, it's giving me, it's not even me because it's not a personality, but giving my little self a mode of reconciling the one and the many. It's really this reconciliation. And in the world, there's something of like, well, how can I live in this world when I feel so much and the world is so numb? How can I live in this world where, you know, I am to be an outcast because my traditional way of living is not as society is asking me for. And this path has given me the context and the lineage and the practice to allow the wilderness of my being to be expressed through devotion and love rather than through destruction and abuse. And yeah, I think that's really where the transformation happened for me, is the intensity is the same, but rather than being channeled through destruction, I can't be here. I don't know how to handle myself. I don't know how to deal with all of these emotion I'm feeling. Through a process of refinement and transformation, it's okay. This intensity is not wrong. The channel through which it was perhaps was not the right channel. It just fine-tuned it. And now it can be poured out through love and devotion. still wildly crazy, but at least it's a craziness that doesn't hurt anybody. Whereas the world we live in today, there's so many crazy things that are happening and we think they're normal. And that's one of the things, is that we have to accept that we're going to swim upstream when the whole world is going to be downstream. We have to accept that we might not be recognized or accepted, or we're on a path of honesty. Why be honest? And this is brahmacharini, number 2 of the Navadurgas, integrity. Why be in integrity when the whole world we live in is out of integrity? Why would I do that? Because there's no more choice, because this is who we truly are. And what Tantra has brought me is that this is who I truly am. And even if it's not going to be celebrated, especially not in the culture we are living today, by integrity and by love, this path has given me the strength and the courage to slowly, slowly be who I am. And so, and that's why Sangha, as you were speaking about, the Yogini circle is so important, because in this world where, integrity is not celebrated, and so many other things are not celebrated, to have others along the path that can just, recognize you. And it doesn't mean you're going to see them all the time, because this is not a path where we're a lot together. It's a path where it's a lot of practice on your own. But once in a while, God blesses you and you meet others and you're like, oh, you're doing the same thing? Okay, we're in this together. And that's where the community and the Sangha, and that's why practicing together and knowing that you are not alone. And in times of great darkness, even the smallest light make a big difference. So that's what is essential. Your light, your practice, you being here, and you listening to that calling inside of you matters. You matter.
Oh, so beautiful. I really just resonate so deeply with all of that. It's like, I think so many of us who end up on this path, it's because we are deep feelers, and the mode of Shakti is that feeling, like we were talking about the direct experience before. It's feeling life, not just mentally observing or taking apart life. It's like, can I really feel life? And that's not always pleasant. And this path gives us a larger container to hold the paradox of this world, that there's beauty, there's terror, there's all of it. But can I open my heart anyways? Can I be a wild mystic in a world that is so full of ignorance and forgetting? And it's a path that's really not for the faint of heart. And yet it's rewarding beyond measure. It's like what you're saying about integrity. This has been a fight for me sometimes, to just be like, I don't understand why the world isn't like that, but to remember that even though integrity is not celebrated in our over culture, that the riches that you get from walking in integrity, and integrity doesn't have to do with my truth. We hear that a lot in spiritual circles, my truth, my this, my that. No, integrity is a coherency with the greater whole. Can I act in a way that is in the, I like to call it the beauty way, in a way that's life-giving in my relations? And that doesn't just mean with others, but also with myself, like this. And that the rewards from that are far bigger than what you can get in your bank account, the nice car you can have, like all the things that we value in society. And so it's a choice, but that's part of the sacrifice, I think, that you were speaking of, Aude, is like, am I as so convicted in this seat of integrity that I'm willing to sacrifice some worldly acknowledgement? And that rests with that deeper self. So one last question before you
And
go.
just
Yeah,
on that, because I just had a flash. We're on day 2 of Navaratri, and day 2 of Navaratri is Brahmacharini
yeah.
in the Navadurgas. And Brahmacharini means her essence is integrity. She walks down from the mountains out of a cave having done tapas. Tapas is the fire of practice that shapes the diamond. It is the fire of transformation. And Ganesh also gives you that integrity. And so, where Shailaputri, the first one, will give you the ability to sit, Ganesh gives you the ability to sit, but also the integrity to keep going. And so, to keep going in a world that's going to want to pull you apart, a world of illusions and distractions and this and that and woo. And so, to have that integrity and that coherency, to know what we're walking towards, which is back home. And we have the opportunity in this body. And that's why being human in a body is the opportunity. It's a great life because it's a life where we have the opportunity to have liberation because we are in the human form. So
I'm on to that. So we kind of have covered this with that, but is there anything else that you would share with our beloved audience around some of maybe the pitfalls of this path, or like what would your advice be for those who are maybe brand new, they're just starting out, but they're feeling that call?
I think well, one beautiful thing is that you made it here. And find a teacher. And a teacher is not a guru. Then if it is your path, because Goddess has chosen, a guru will come into your life. But find a teacher, explore it first, and see, this is a path of totality. It requires everything, and it is not for everybody. A lot of the boons and gift of Tantra can inspire your life, and you can get a lot of it by being in the field of it. But getting initiated in Tantra is a particular samskara, and it's a particular path that is imprinted in your life. So if it hasn't come into your life yet and you really long for it and desire it, trust it will come. And if you're just like curious about it, well, this is not for the faint-hearted. Buckle up and enjoy the ride. And you're not alone in it. But be careful. Be wise. And curiosity is good until a certain point, because it can also lead you into many, many, many things. And people, especially today, says, oh, I'm just going to be open to anything. Watch yourself when you say that, because anything might not lead you back home. So be open, yes, to the grace of God and the grace of the Goddess. Be aware, be gentle with yourself, and remember that we all forget to remember. And so step by step, and ask with a heart full of love and devotion. Ask even if you feel lack and you like, I don't know how to do that. Ask if you were a child, as a baby, ask, I don't know how to do that. Ma, show me. We say, approach the mother as an adult. She will get close to you. Approach the mother as an infant. She will take you and put you on her lap. Approach her as a baby. She will pull you to her breast and feed you of the nectarine ocean of her consciousness. So let's approach her as babies.
Yeah. Thank you so, so much, Aude. Just really, just such a joy to hear your wisdom and feel your embodiment in these systems all at once. And yeah, this path it's not a linear path, especially as Westerners, when we approach these systems, there's a part of us that really expects kind of a linearity, like, okay, I found her and now I did. She doesn't work that way. Circles and spirals, and sometimes you'll get so far. I mean, in my own journey, it was just like her breadcrumbs, and then I was so eager and young, and I you know, I still had some of that, like, I want it, like, I call it the Gollum mentality, like, ooh. And she was like, once that's like been polished, the floodgates will open. And it took years for them. Like, I would get tastes, I would have deep experiences. Like, it was very clear I was being called, but it took some time for the floodgates to finally open because I had to ripen. And so I love what you're sharing, Aude, because I think there is just, we have to trust her timing. It's not our timing. It's her timing.
Yeah.
So, and how
And it might
perfect.
and it might not inspire you, but I've been in this for 7 years and it's just the beginning.
It's just the beginning.
And
Yeah.
maybe it inspires you because why do you want to be done? Why one thing in your life need a goal?
Yeah.
One thing in your life that is actually about the journey and the process and the perfect timing, as you said.
Yeah.
It is your time,
And we're
not ours.
thinking in terms of lifetimes in this system. This is not just a one lifetime orientation. This is like our souls and their many lifetime, many bodied journey. So we have all the time in the world. She is time. So thank you again so much, Aude. And in this email that you're connecting to this interview in, we have some beautiful offerings of Aude, including for those of you who want to fall in deeper love with the adorable Ganapati. She has a lovely program on Ganapati and many other just incredible offerings. So thank you
Yeah.
again. It was really a pleasure.
Pleasure. Thank you so much for putting this together and to all of you for listening because, as we said, if you practice alone, it's one thing, but when we come together and practice, the boons multiply and He's the Lord of the multitude. And so let's all come together and with great humility and great devotion and great reverence for all those that have walked before and all of my teachers from Uma Parvatinath and yeah, all the Srividya lineage for gracing us with the beauty and the teachings of simply being, a droplet in this incredible ocean back to her. Shri Matre Namaha.
Shri Matre Namaha. All right. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow for day 3.